What happens when a poor gardener trades his last peso for a useless dog sentenced to death? The rich heir laughed, but a mysterious stranger visited that night. What happened next forced the entire city to freeze in silent wonder. The sun set over the high walls of Forbes Park. Inside the mansion, the air was cold and silent. Anton stood in the grand marble hallway. He looked down at Duke, the old Belgian Malinois. Duke's fur was thinning and grey. One eye was completely cloudy, with a cataract. He moved with a painful, heavy limp. "This dog is a burden," Anton snapped. He checked his expensive gold Rolex watch. 18,000 pesos every month for medicine? That is a total waste of company resources. Duke wagged his tail very slowly. He remembered Anton as a small, laughing boy. But Anton only saw a useless eyesore. "He served your father for 10 years, the driver whispered. "He saved the Dawn during that kidnapping attempt." Anton narrowed his eyes at the servant. "My father is dead. This dog is broken." The driver stared at the polished floor. "Take him to the pound tomorrow," Anton ordered. "Schedule the euthanasia for exactly 9 in the morning. I want this trash out of my sight." Duke let out a soft, tired whimper. He did not know his life was ending. He only knew his master was very angry. The old dog licked Anton's shiny leather shoe. Anton kicked his foot away in deep disgust. The smell of expensive cologne filled the room, but the heart inside was rotting. I watched from the shadows of the hallway. The air smelled like money and cold steel. Anton had forgotten what loyalty looks like. Is mercy only for those who are still useful? Have you ever seen someone throw away a soul? Mang Isko, the estate's gardener, heard the cruel order. He stood behind a thick hibiscus bush, trembling. He had served this family for 15 years. He remembered Duke as a brave puppy. The gardener's heart felt like it was breaking.
"Sir Anton, please," Isko said, stepping forward. He took off his worn straw hat. "Let me take Duke. He is my friend." Anton laughed, a cold and sharp sound. "You want this trash, Isko? You are both useless. Trash belongs with trash in the slums." Isko did not look away from the young master. "I will pay for him. I will take him." Anton leaned back, his eyes full of greed. "He is worth more than your life, old man." Isko ran to his small room behind the garage. He pulled out an old, rusted biscuit tin. Inside was 75,000 pesos in small bills. This was his life savings for 10 years. It was the money for his grandson's heart surgery. Every peso was a drop of Isko's sweat. He also held the title to his only property. It was a rusty 2005 Mitsubishi Adventure. It was the only thing he truly owned. He placed the tin and the title on the table. Anton's eyes widened at the sight of the cash. "You are trading your future for a dying animal?" "Yes," Isko whispered, "because a soul has no price." Anton grabbed the money and signed the papers. He mocked the old man for his foolish choice. Isko led Duke away, the dog limping beside him. Now, a choice is made that changes 2 lives forever. If you believe that mercy is worth more than silver, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. The luxury of the mansion stayed behind them. The dusty road to Bulacan lay ahead of them.
Isco had nothing left but a dog and his faith. But in his heart, he felt a strange peace. He looked at Duke, and the dog licked his hand. They were both poor, but they were finally free. The sun was hot, but the breeze felt like a blessing. Isco knew the road would be very hard. He did not know how he would eat tomorrow. Yet, he smiled at the golden afternoon sky. Life in the outskirts of Bulacan was a heavy trial. The air was thick with dust and the smell of dry grass. Isco's small wooden hut had a leaking roof and a dirt floor.
His pockets were empty after giving everything to Anton. Duke's condition did not improve in the provincial heat. The dog's hind legs often gave out during their short walks. Isco sat on a plastic stool, rubbing Duke's tired muscles. He felt a sharp pang of guilt for his grandson's surgery, but he looked into Duke's eyes and saw a silent thank you. "We will survive, old friend," Isco whispered into the wind. He went to the local pawn shop with a heavy heart. He carried his late wife's wedding ring, his last treasure. The gold was thin, but it held 40 years of memories. The shopkeeper offered only 4,500 pesos. It was barely enough for 1 month of Duke's specialized vitamins. Isco took the money, his eyes stinging with hidden tears. Neighbors watched him from their porches, whispering and pointing. "Look at that old fool eating plain rice with salt," they said. "He feeds liver to a dog while he starves himself." The temperature rose to 38 degrees under the tin roofs. Isco's breath was shallow, but he never stopped caring for Duke. He spent every night praying to the Santo Niño by a candle. "Lord, I have nothing left to give but my love," he prayed. "Please do not let this act of mercy be in vain." He believed that heaven keeps a record of every tear shed. He believed that a sacrifice for the weak is never forgotten. But the hunger was a constant, gnawing animal in his stomach. The world seemed to mock his kindness at every turn. The darkness of poverty felt like a rising, suffocating tide. Will the heavens remain silent as a good man loses everything? Is there a limit to how much a faithful heart can endure? During a massive tropical storm, the sky turned a bruised purple. Rain hammered the tin roof of Isco's small hut like bullets. The floods rose quickly, reaching waist-deep in the muddy streets. Suddenly, a loud knock echoed at the wooden door. A young man named Junjun stood there, soaked to the bone.
He wore a simple, faded white shirt and worn-out rubber sandals. His face was tanned and weathered by the Philippine sun. "Please, Lolo, may I seek shelter from the rising water?" Isco opened the door wide, despite his own hunger and fear.
"Come in, son. We have very little, but you are welcome."
They sat together on the floor as the wind howled outside. Isco shared a single piece of dried fish and some cold rice. The stranger carried an aura of unnatural and deep peace. Junjun looked at Duke, who lay shivering in a dark corner. "This dog has a heavy spirit," the young man said softly. Isco told him the story of the mansion and the burden. He spoke of the surgery money and the mockery of the rich. Junjun listened with eyes that seemed to see into Isco's soul. "The world measures value in gold and shiny things," Junjun said. "But God measures a man by his scars and his hidden kindness." The stranger's voice was calm, like the center of a storm. "The darkest hour of the night is when the sun begins to rise. Do not be afraid, for your sacrifice has been seen in heaven." Isco felt a warmth spreading through his tired, aching chest. His hands stopped trembling as the stranger touched his shoulder. There was no magic light, only a feeling of immense safety. The flood roared outside, but inside, the air smelled like lilies. Something was about to change in this humble, leaking house. Why does God choose the poorest huts for his greatest visits? What happens when a man loses everything but keeps his faith? As the storm raged, Junjun knelt in the mud beside Duke. The rain soaked his white shirt, but he did not flinch. The high-priced Manila vets had claimed Duke was broken forever. They said his bones were old and his eyes were dead. Junjun ran his rough, sun-beaten hands over the dog's fur. His touch was steady and full of a quiet, ancient strength. He found a small, rusted piece of a 3-inch nail.
It was embedded deep in Duke's front paw from years ago. The metal was hidden by thick calluses and old scars. "This is the thorn that caused the pain," Junjun whispered. With a gentle movement, he pulled the rusted metal out. Duke did not cry out. He only breathed a deep sigh. Junjun placed his hand over the dog's clouded white eye. Let the light return to what was lost in the dark. Suddenly, Duke stood up on all 4 legs with ease. The cataracts seemed to wash away like dust in the rain. His eyes became clear and bright, reflecting the candlelight. Isco stared in total silence, his heart racing with wonder. He turned to thank the young man for this miracle, but the wooden stool was empty, and the door was closed. Junjun had vanished into the pouring rain and the wind. The scent of fresh lilies filled the small, humid hut. The flooding water outside began to recede into the earth. Duke barked for the first time in over 3 years. It was a strong, healthy sound that echoed through the village. Isco fell to his knees, weeping tears of pure gratitude. A light had entered his life when he expected only death. Sometimes God removes the hidden nails that keep us from walking. If you believe that no one is ever too broken for God, please like this video, subscribe, and join our family. The old man and the dog sat together in the peace. The burden was gone, replaced by a new, living hope. Isco knew that the stranger was no ordinary construction worker. He was the one who carries our heavy loads for us. The morning sun began to break through the grey clouds. 6 months later, a prestigious hero dog competition was held in Manila. The grand arena was filled with expensive cameras and wealthy people. The first prize was 1,500,000 pesos. Anton was there, wearing a suit that cost more than a house. He held a new German Shepherd that cost 500,000 pesos. He wanted the fame and the trophy to boost his company's image. To everyone's shock, a humble old man entered the dusty ring. It was Mang Isco, wearing a clean but faded Barong Tagalog. Beside him walked Duke, looking like a young champion once again. His coat was shiny, his eyes were clear, and his step was firm. The crowd whispered in surprise at the beautiful, strong animal. Anton laughed loudly when he saw his former gardener. "You still have that piece of trash," Anton mocked him. "My dog is a purebred champion from Europe, old man. Your dog belongs in a scrap heap, not in this arena." The final test was a simulated rescue inside a burning house. Thick, dark smoke and orange flames filled the obstacle course. Anton's expensive dog became terrified by the loud cracking sounds. The animal panicked, tucked its tail, and froze in the middle. The trainers had to drag the expensive dog out of the smoke. Then it was Duke's turn to face the heat and the danger. Duke did not hesitate for a single second when the whistle blew. He moved with a speed that seemed almost supernatural and holy. He braved the obstacles and jumped through the wall of smoke. He found the target and dragged it to safety in record time. The digital clock stopped at exactly 42 seconds. The entire stadium stood up and let out a thunderous roar. Isco felt his heart swell with pride for his loyal friend.
The judges declared Duke the undisputed grand champion of the year. Anton's face turned a deep, angry shade of red in the lights. He could not understand how a burden could become a hero. The cameras focused on the old man and his miraculous dog. The world saw a winner, but Isco saw a blessing from God. He remembered the touch of the stranger in the middle of the storm. He knew that true strength comes from a heart that has suffered. The prize was now in his hands, but the victory belonged to faith. The crowd kept cheering, their voices like a great ocean wave.
Isco whispered a prayer of thanks into Duke's soft, warm ear. The ceremony was over, but the air remained electric. Anton pushed through the crowd with a dark scowl. He could not let a gardener humiliate him publicly. He saw the flashing cameras and the curious journalists. Anton reached Mang Isco and blocked his way out. "Wait, I have an offer for you, old man." He pulled out a checkbook and a gold fountain pen. "Your dog is a sensation. He is good for my brand. I will give you 3 million pesos for him right now." "That is double your prize money. You will be rich." The journalists moved closer, recording every single word. Isco looked at the piece of paper in Anton's hand. 3 million pesos could buy a new house and land. It was more money than he had seen in his life. He looked at Duke, who stood calmly at his side. The dog's eyes were fixed on Isco with pure devotion. Then Isco looked at the man who had called Duke trash. He remembered the cold morning at the Forbes Park mansion. He remembered the order to kill a loyal, aging friend. "Sir Anton," Isco began, his voice steady and deep. "You are a man who knows the price of everything. But you clearly know the value of absolutely nothing. You can buy a dog's pedigree and a shiny gold collar, but you can never buy the loyalty of a soul. You tried to kill him because he was a burden to you. To me, he was always a gift from the Almighty." Isco tore the check into several small white pieces. He let the scraps of paper fall onto the dirt floor. "Keep your millions. I will keep my best friend." The arena went silent as the billionaire stood frozen. Anton's face turned pale as his pride crumbled. In front of the world, his money had lost its power. The truth had come to light, and it was blinding. Isco turned his back and walked away into the sun. He did not need a mansion to feel like a king. He had his dignity, his dog, and a clear conscience.
The crowd began to clap softly, then louder and louder.
They saw a man who could not be bought with silver. The burden was now a symbol of something eternal. True wealth is found in what we refuse to sell. Isco felt the weight of the trophy, but Duke felt lighter. They walked together, two friends bound by a miracle. Back at his small hut, Isco felt a holy silence. The sun was setting behind the green coconut trees. The 1,500,000 prize was safe. It was enough for his grandson's heart surgery. It was enough to build a small community clinic. Isco sat at the wooden table where Junjun sat. He saw a small wooden cross left on the surface. It was carved from simple local Nara wood. On the back, words were carved in clear letters. "Whatever you did for the least of these, my brother." Isco realized he had been visited by the Lord himself. Jesus did not come with lightning or golden crowns. He came as a laborer with dust on his feet. He came to help a man who chose mercy over money. The burdened dog was the vessel for a great miracle. Duke lived for 5 more happy, healthy years. he became the protector of the new village clinic. Isco taught his grandson that true value is hidden. It is found in the things the world calls useless. The rich man Anton lost his reputation and his joy. But Isco gained a legacy that will never fade. This story reminds us that God sees every quiet act. He walks among us in the form of the humble. He heals the wounds that no doctor can find. Peace and hope now grow in the soil of Bulacan. The miracle started with one choice: to be kind. If this story reminded you that God sees everything and acts in His own time, please support it with a like, subscribe to the channel, and write the word faith in the comments if you also believe in God's justice.